temple in Mumbai with a thriving community of over 10,000 devotees. He founded the Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Mumbai and the very innovative Govardhan Eco Village, and stupendously feeds through his organization 300,000 children every day. But really the real mark of a beautiful Vaishnava guru is the behavior of his disciples. And based on my observation and experience, his disciples, they honor all others, they are humble, and they're very eager to serve other Vaishnavas. This is a true, beautiful aspect of Guru. So I'm very excited to hear the pushpanjali from His Holiness Radhanath Swami. We are one Chaitanya family. A very warm welcome to you. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Om Agyantimidandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanbitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Scha Vanshakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I am sincerely honored and grateful for the opportunity to be with all of you today. I'm truly humbled that by the graciousness of your hearts, you invited me to be a part of this historical, auspicious celebration of the 100th appearance day of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj. I would first of all like to offer my lifelong obeisances to my beloved Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, by whose mercy has kept me on this path of bhakti, and by whose mercy has introduced me to such exalted Vaishnavas as Srila Narayana Maharaj. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes Sri Radha Gopinath's pastimes in the spiritual world of Sri Vrindavan are the highest ultimate expression of divine love. Beyond liberation, beyond love of God in Vaikunthas is the spontaneous, ecstatic, loving exchanges of Sri Vrindavan Dham. The pastimes of Vrindavan were very much confidential, sealed within a very close circle of intimate associates of the Lord. But then Radha and Krishna appeared in the one form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Bhava Duti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Krishna came to taste the sweetness of Radha's love, a love that conquered his heart, a happiness that he could not even fathom unless he experienced it from her perspective, through her love. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaudatveshe Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not only Krishna tasting the sweetness of Radha's love, but Sri Radharani is opening the circle of the pastimes of Vrindavan to even the most fallen people as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya dreamed of and longed for going to Vrindavan. He came for 2 months and then returned to Puri. But he especially instructed Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, to perform his mission in Vrindavan, to reveal the holy places of Vrindavan, to reveal the essence of the love of God that's revealed in the Vedic literatures, culminating in Vrindavan. They wrote so many literatures, and they exemplified the life of Vaishnavas. And we are Rupanugas. Our legacy is to follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. I saw in my own beloved Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, how he lived at Radha Damodar temple. And along with the ecstasy of his meditation on being in Sri Sri Radha Govinda Dev's Leela, he was writing books and planning to bring this message to the world. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, he dedicated his life to sharing the treasures of the love of Vrindavan with the world. And each and every one of us who are here today has directly or indirectly been blessed by his compassion. I'm remembering the first time that I met Srila Narayana Maharaj was in the early 1980s. I went to the Keshav Gaudiya Math. My special purpose at that time was to see the place where my beloved Guru Maharaj took sannyas in 1959. I had heard many times the recording of Srila Prabhupada speaking with such emotion and love toward his god brother, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada, on the occasion of the disappearance of Keshav Maharaj, he said he has gone back to the spiritual world to be with Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, he was crying. He called Keshav Maharaj an ocean of mercy, Kripam Buddhir. And he declared that on behalf of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, Keshav Maharaj pulled him from material life, Prabhupada said, and gave him sannyas and sent him to the Western world. So while I was in the temple room where that historical pastime took place, meditating, praying, one brahmachari came in and brought me to the private quarters of Srila Narayana Maharaj. And at that first meeting, it was just the two of us. He exhibited such a compassionate, kind nature. Although I was so insignificant and so junior to him in every way, he gave so much respect. And I could understand, and he told me himself, that because of his love for my Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, because I was Srila Prabhupada's follower, he was giving me so much honor and respect. That moved my heart forever. And over the years, we met many, many times. He came to our temple in Mumbai, Chopati Radha Gopinath Mandir, and gave several classes to our devotees. I would meet him in his room at Keshav Gaudiya Math, at Devananda Gaudiya Math in Navadvip, and Sri Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math in Vrindavan, sometimes in various places in the Western world. At this moment, I'm remembering a beautiful experience. It was Kartik, I believe 1993. And Srila Narayana Maharaj was leading a very large parikrama of devotees. Mostly they were devotees of Indian origin, but there were also a growing number of Western people coming, Vaishnavas also. And we met, and I believe it was at the Keshav Gaudiya Math in Mathura. And he invited me to ride with him in a car to go to their destination that day, which was Sri Ram Ghat, which was quite far away. It actually took a couple hours to reach there. For those of you who have been to Sri Ram Ghat, it's way, way up on the banks of Yamuna River. And to reach there, in those days, most of the way there were no roads. We were just driving through fields and on earthen pathways and on the banks of the Yamuna River. In the car, I believe it was an ambassador, His Holiness Madhava Maharaj, who was then a brahmachari, was sitting in the front seat with the driver. And Srila Narayana Maharaj and myself were sitting on the small back seat. The car, which had very poor suspension, it wasn't even on a road, it was just in fields, was going up and down and bouncing and bouncing. And all around us, there was so much of the sacred dust of Sri Braj Bhumi just filling the air. But we were inside, and it was most beautiful experience. That little back seat was truly a revelation of Vrindavan to me that I'll never forget. He was discussing me various leelas as we were passing different places. And he was asking about my life. He was talking about his life. And then he would see something else and tell another pastime of Krishna and Sri Radha. And in this way, we spent hours. And I remember Madhava Maharaj in the front seat was smiling so jubilantly, just to hear us talking. And although I felt so small compared to his enormous devotion, he treated me with such kindness, with so much encouragement. And I remember from time to time, as we were talking together, he would reach over and hold my hand. For probably a third of the drive, we were holding hands. And I was meditating on this verse, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I was meditating on how this is how Srila Prabhupada described Keshav Maharaj, and how I was feeling that kindness through his beloved disciple, Srila Narayana Maharaj. He invited me to join him several times in various places for his parikramas of Sri Vrindavan Dham. And whenever we met, regardless of the circumstances, it was always so sweet and filled with the experience that I read about in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm remembering another time, it was in the Western world, where there was an ISKCON festival with leaders of ISKCON just down the road from a festival of Srila Narayana Maharaj and about 100 followers. And this was at a time after this inconceivable tension was created between the two families. And because of that tension, things were said on both sides, things were done on both sides. And it's very sad, but in many ways it's inevitable in this world. So I went to visit Srila Narayana Maharaj. And when I came to the house he was staying, many of the leading devotees were very suspicious of me. They were quite neglectful toward me, which I happily accepted and deserved. And they had their doubts whether I should go in to see Narayana Maharaj. So I said, please ask him. So they did, and he invited me into his room. And when we met, it was just that reunion of love, respect, and affection between a senior and a junior. And a senior who had such humility, he was treating his junior like an equal. And for perhaps half hour, we just exchanged affection. And it was beautiful. And I gave him some gifts and he gave me gifts. And when I left his room, I was thinking of the nature of unity and diversity. The very basis of true Vaishnava etiquette is love. The idea of love is not just a sentimental thing. It's the ultimate goal of life. It's the singular thing that we as Vaishnavas are aspiring for. And Bhakti Yoga is the path to prema. It's in how we express our love that Krishna reveals his love. Mad Bhakta Pujabhidika. And Krishna accepts our love especially through how we love his devotees. And as I was walking out of his room that day, I was thinking like this, that whatever the energies around us are creating, there may be confusions, there may be disruptions, there may be conflict, there may be misunderstandings, there may be aparads in the air. But the simplicity of the love and the affection between devotees is sacred. It is beyond all these things. And in the many times since then that I had the wonderful fortune of meeting with Srila Narayana Maharaj, sometimes at Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math, various places, that was always the spirit. At one time, things were being said between the camps, and I came to meet him, and he considered me to be a representative of ISKCON. And in a very fatherly way, he chastised me. And I said, Maharaj, I didn't come as a representative of anyone. I just came as somebody who loves you and wants your association, nothing else. And he continued to chastise me as if I was like the personification of the GBC or something like that. And I sat and I listened, and I've given my heart and my life to the mission of Srila Prabhupada in the form of ISKCON, and he knew that, and he appreciated that. And after he chastised me, he just treated me with the same love and kindness and respect that was just beyond all these other things. And I'm speaking this today because these types of experiences has very much made me who I am in the way I try to rise above to whatever extent I can, whatever differences we have, because differences there will be. And where is that place beyond it all? It's the love, the respect, the affection, and the kindness that we're meant to share with one another. In Vrindavan, there are conflicting camps between various wings of gopis. But it's all based ultimately on love. How to remain faithful to the mission we've given our hearts to, faithful to the divine grace of the Guru that has saved us, and at the same time recognize, appreciate, and love the experience that other devotees in other missions are having with one another. Not to convert, but to encourage, to inspire, to enliven. And that is the experience that I personally always had with Srila Narayana Maharaj. He was totally absorbed, always, in the loving service of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. And his life was to share it with us through his lectures, through his writings, through his parikramas, through his kindness. And today, through the hearts of those who love him for each other, on this very auspicious day, my heart is with all of you to celebrate the centennial anniversary of the appearance of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj. Thank you for this opportunity to speak some words. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you, Maharaj. That was so beautiful. And actually, you kind of reduced me to a puddle about 5 times. So it was a journey of pain and joy and hope and love throughout that beautiful pushpanjali. And we invited you because we all know that my Gurudev loves you. So it was absolutely essential that you were invited. And your message of your message of loving each other through seva, beyond differences, it's the message of our yuga, and it fills me with so much hope for the future. We have so much hope for the future, so much hope, and a lot of that hope is embodied in gurus like you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yashodananda Prabhu. I'm longing to spend time with you.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Haribol, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for Kaustubha Das. And also to Pasri Maharaj's sister, and to Pastor Maharaj for arranging all of this. Thank you. So, devotees, brothers and sisters, we're now, are you going to stay with us a little while, Maharaj, or do you need to go? Oh, you're on mute now.
Sorry.
Please stay if you can.
With your permission, I will stay as long as possible. Thank you.
We don't want you to go. Please don't go. We'll all be crying when you go. There is no suspicion. There's only love.
Thank you.
Yashodananda Prabhu?
Yes.
Just before we zoom over to the next speaker,
Yes.
can I just say two words and then
Oh, please.
something? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.